Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai 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 Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Through one of the emails, somebody asked to dwell on action in inaction, a poem by Devadappa, which had appeared in the January issue of the Vision. Action in inaction. It's a very important topic. As sadhakas, we have to keep on reminding ourselves as to how to bring it. The poem you will read, the instrument is violent, sonorous as the strings, thought is silent, vibrant is the soul, stillness and action equalize, then is the highest yoga. Stillness itself is inertia. Action itself is discord. When both coexist, together revealed, then rings symphony eternal, mingling rapture of delight with true ethereal peace. When we come across words like this seems to be paradoxical. We try to understand it through our own experience. Vinoba has beautifully brought it out. He says, karma is very much needed to enable us to understand the state of our minds. We can remove our defects only when we become aware of them. Without such awareness, all efforts of progress and growth will come to naught. It is while doing work that we become aware of our defects. Vikarma is then to be employed to get rid of these defects. With ceaseless inward vikarma, we will gradually come to know how to remain detached while performing Dharma, how to remain beyond desires and passions, anger, greed, temptations, delusions. When there is a constant endeavor to purify karma, pure karma will follow naturally, effortlessly. Constant endeavor. There is nothing to be thought of. When karma becomes effortless and burdenless, it is transformed into akarma. Akarma, as we have seen in the 4th chapter, means effortless, burdenless, natural karma. Let us take a familiar example to understand the naturalness in an action. When a child first learns to walk, what effort does he put into it? We encourage him, appreciate his effort. Hey, he has learned to walk. We say with delight. But later, walking becomes natural. The child can then walk and talk at the same time. It is the same with eating. When a child is given solid food for the first time, we celebrate the occasion. As if the act of eating is something great. But in course of time, it becomes quite natural. How hard it is to learn swimming. In the beginning, one finds it tiring, but later on, one goes for swimming to relax, to shake off fatigue. Swimming is then no longer a tiring activity. The body floats over water effortlessly. The mind is in the habit of getting tired. It gets tired when it is consciously engaged in work. But when actions flow naturally, no strain is felt. Karma then becomes akarma. It is then full of joy. Such transformation of karma into akarma is what we want to achieve. Action in inaction. It is for this purpose that we should perform karma in accordance with Rasa Dharma. In doing so, our defects will come to light. To remove them, we should take recourse to karma. If all this is constantly practiced, the mind reaches a stage where it is no longer perturbed by action. It remains calm and clear, even though we are doing thousands of actions. If we ask the sky whether it gets scorched by the sun and drenched in the rain and shivers with the cold in winter, what reply will we get? Will it not say, you can settle what happens to me, I know nothing. In short, if we go on performing action, they gradually become detached and purified and eventually become natural and effortless. Such actions then become second nature. Even the most trying situations are not then felt to be daunting. Such is the key of the Karma Yoga. Our hands will simply get bruised in trying to force open a lock without a key. With the key, we can open it in no time. The key to Karma Yoga makes all the actions light and without any bother. This key can be secured by conquering the mind. There should therefore be continuous effort to subdue desires and passions in the mind. Whenever we become aware of any impurities in the mind, in the course of action, we should try to cleanse the mind. Outward actions then cease to be troublesome. The egoistic feeling that I am the doer vanishes. The powerful forces of desire, passion and anger subside. There is then no feeling of anguish. Even the awareness of performing an action is no longer there. action in inaction. So, something on which we have to keep on going back to our own life. Outwardly we are acting, but when it becomes sahaj, when it becomes natural, we are not aware of the action.
The example of breathing. Breathing, can we say example? How many? Now outward we feel happy, but inside some sadness is there.
No, we are talking about whatever action we perform, if it becomes natural. You are now walking, When you were a child, it was difficult for you to get up and walk. It was considered to be a big action for us. For the end, then it becomes natural, Effortlessly it is going on. Burdenless action. It is action, no doubt. There is an action. But when it becomes natural, we are not aware of it. That is called inaction. Car driving, everything. So like that, everything becomes, when we, the other day we were sharing, that person, the boy who saved that old man, who was crossing who was walking around the rail, train was coming, I think evening, many years back, I think it must have been 2004 or 5. We happened to know that a boy of 12 years then, he was just crossing the level crossing. When the gate is closed, naturally pedestrians, they go underneath the thing and then pass. Similarly, this boy also got in and he was about to cross, he saw the train coming. But what he saw was an old man was also walking with something on his head. So he was shouting, "Train is coming in your back." This man, he was not responding. The train was reaching. Suddenly the boy jumped into the train, somehow dragged him out of the way. And the train. The level crossing, the person who was handling the level crossing, he saw this. He asked the boy his name, everything. He reported to the station master. Station master got in touch with and somehow it came to the notice of the collector. And the collector reported to the higher power. Somehow, bravery award was given. President bravery award was given to this boy. This boy is the nephew of one Papan who was serving Puja Swami during 70s for his correspondence. So he came and told us this. Because of our association with Anand Ashram, the boy was able to save a person. We did not leave it as we asked all in details and we wanted at that time we said was growing, They had set up, not this present they had set up. In Manav Seva they were functioning. So we immediately organized a program where Gopinathan Nair, the Gandhi Managadi chairman, he was invited and a lot of people were there to give some award to this boy. We were there. When everybody spoke, this boy was sitting. Internally, he was not very natural. I went and told him, what prompted you to do that? He refused to, and I put in the mic. Immediately he said, the answer was coming. He was not hearing. See, the train comes and leaves. He falls, he will be dead. What happened, we also did not explain. It was spontaneous. Yesterday we were talking about spontaneity. Spontaneous. Suppose, had he been conscious of it, he would ask whether I will be able to hold on, whether I will be able to jump, in the process whether I will get killed. But it was spontaneous. It was an action, but inaction. It became sahaj, automatic. His identification with that old man was total. There was no otherness there. So it played as narrative. So, Vinobaji wants all spiritual aspirants or devotees to see that their action becomes motiveless, so that you are not conscious. It just comes, you do it. Any act of compassion, for that matter, it becomes natural. Otherwise, you cannot calculate, you cannot study compassion and implement it in your life. It's spontaneous and you are not even aware of it. When somebody acknowledges and says it is compassion, act of compassion, then you know it. Oh. So, Vinobaji wants every action. Just like when we take our brush, it is not a strenuous thing for us now. But initially when I started doing, it was a big thing. Like that, when we take bath, when we go to the toilet, when we eat, when we dress, everything becomes fine. So every action. There the me and mind will not be there. Because you are not aware of it. It goes on by itself. Just now when we talk, when we walk, walking goes on. No? You are able to move from your room to this. It was an action. But you are not aware. So if every action bears this stamp of inaction, then the vasanas will not be there, the me and mind will not be there. That is what he wants to emphasize. And Papa in this poem given one more dimension. Because we were dwelling upon the word yoga. So when we were trying to look for a poem, this is how we came across. Then we said, what a beautiful idea here to us. What is yoga? Then is the highest yoga, where stillness and action equalize. Stillness itself is inertia, no action, no stillness means. Action itself is discord. So many so vibrations are there, so many changes are there. But when both coexist, together reveal, then rings symphony eternal, mingling rapture of delight with the two ethereal beings. So whenever we do any action, if it is motiveless, we are not aware. There is no self-interest involved there. More and more we have to ponder and see whether in all our life, God has blessed us with this, but probably we are not aware of it. The me and mind comes and colors us. From tiny little acts to great events, we can see. Inertia. Still, not active. So here Vinobaji brings out a beautiful dialogue between Janaka and Shuka. His mind was only on that, So when you just read out, how many times we have read this, but again there is seriousness in it. Vyasa told Shuka, his son Shuka, you have certainly attained self-knowledge, but it lacks the seal of confirmation from a guru. So I would like you to go to Janaka, the king, for this purpose. He is the king, yes. He is involved in Vyavahara, Janaka. And Shuka is 100% established in that. You see that, He says, stillness and action both coexist. On the way to palace, he passed through the capital city, observing the urban scene which was unknown to the young hunter. When he reached the palace and met the king, the following conversation took place. Janaka, why have you come here, young man? Shuka, to gain knowledge, sir. Janaka, who has sent you? Shuka, Vyasa, my father has asked me to meet you. Janaka, where from have you come? Shuka, from the ashram. Janaka, while coming here from the ashram, what did you observe in the market? sugar. I observed sweet meats made of sugar piled up everywhere. Janaka, what else did you see? Sugar. I saw sugar statues walking on the streets and talking with each other. Janaka, what did you see next? Sugar. I then saw the palace made of sugar. Janaka, and what happened thereafter? Sugar. Everywhere I found pictures made of sugar. What are you seeing now? Janaka asked. A sugar statue is talking to another sugar statue. Janaka, well, you may go. You are indeed at peace. So apparently there were so many distractions. Apparently. And he was not blind. He had opened his eyes. But he was only seeing the sweetness, which he has named it as sugar. The Brahmic experience, blissful nature. The blissful nature got thoroughly established in him, so that he was not seeing. Though apparently he was walking, he was seeing. Doing everything without being active is possible for a realized soul, not for a seeker. But it is possible for a seeker, at least to some extent, to follow the way of doing everything without getting attached to it. Acting outwardly, but remaining inactive within. Working without outward action will be a riddle for a seeker. It will be at a loss to understand. For a seeker, Karma Yoga is both the way and the goal. Sannyasa and Karma Yoga, that is how it is compared, stillness and action. Sannyasa and Karma. Although Sannyasa and Karma Yoga are of equal worth in their perfect state, Karma Yoga has an additional practical value. A currency note and a gold coin of the same denomination have the same value as long as the government is stable. But if the government collapses, the currency note is reduced to a piece of paper, whereas the gold coin is of some worth under all circumstances as it is, after all, made of a precious metal. In the perfect state, Karma Yoga and renunciation of action have the same value as self-knowledge is there, both of them. Value of self-knowledge is infinite. In mathematics, there is a principle that you may add any quantity to infinity, the total remains equal to infinity. Karma Yoga and renunciation of karma are equal value when coupled with self-knowledge. But when self-knowledge is deleted from both the sides, Karma Yoga is preferable for a seeker. Action through inaction is a riddle beyond the understanding of the seeker. We were just wondering, when we were taken from this poem. At one stage, somebody asked Papa, have you read Talks on Gita by Vinoba? He said, no, nowadays I have no interest. Same word, the capital action in inaction. Here it is, action through inaction. So that is why he did not feel the need to read. Specifically, he was asked, God experience has come. Have you read the Vinobaji's Talks on Gita? He said, nowadays Ramdas does not feel like reading anything. That's full. So when it comes from that stage, see when what he uttered in 1932 we are reading. Nobody. What he uttered in 1932 we are reading. This year, God experience, it must be in 60s. Same word, action. Shantdev sent a letter to Jnanadev. It was nothing but a piece of blank paper. As he could not make up his mind to how to address Jnanadev. Jnanadev was much younger in years but superior in wisdom. Should he address him respectfully as one addresses an elder, or as one addresses as a younger person? Unable to decide, he sent a blank letter. It first reached the hands of Nivrittinath. He read it. What did he read? Passed it on to Jnanadev, who too read it and passed it on to Muktabai, their younger sister. Reading the letter, Muktabai exclaimed, "Hey Chandev, you are so old, but still you are blind." They were able to read it. Nivrittinath had done something different. He said, yes, Chandev is blind, which means that he is pure and innocent, therefore deserves to be taught. So he asked Jnanadev to send a reply to this letter. Jnanadev sent a letter comprising 65 small stanzas. This letter is therefore called Chandev's Prashasti. Such is the charming story of this letter. It is easy to read written words, but difficult to read what is not written. Action in inaction. Just think, everything contributes to this. What is between the lines? Right. What is between the lines? We say. We should try to read what we do. Because the words convey something. But beyond the words, what he is trying to convey?
Every citizen can have a sound you are giving, the Mauna Vyakhyanam to the people, all elders. Same thing.
Such is the charming story of this. It is easy to read written words, but difficult to read what is not written. There is no end to reading. The sannyasi appears to be empty and blank, but he is full of infinite. So and then he says that is highest yoga. When he brings the word yoga, then we understand what is yoga. Papa answers, yoga is the path by traversing which the individual soul realizes its real nature of immortality, omnipresence, peace and bliss. Normally, the moment we hear the word yoga is understood by many people merely as certain physical exercises like asana, pranayama and the like. Seldom do we understand that the word yoga stands for union with God. Yoga means, what it says? Yoga means union or integration. It entails detachment from suffering and perverse propensities. Different types of yoga or different means of processes to achieve this integration. In other words, we can say that yoga is an endeavor to apply the spiritual tenets in daily life. It is the art of harmoniously translating the principles of life into practice. Hence, the body and mind need to be harmonized and their energy is channelized towards the goals of life. There is a direct correlation between the body and the mind. If the mind is unruly and uncontrolled, the body will also be not under control. If the mind is unhealthy, the body will also be unhealthy. Research has shown that every thought in the mind affects the brain, nervous system, all other organs in the body. Negative thoughts and emotions disturb the balance of the nervous system and organs. This is the cause for all the diseases of the body and mind. So control of the mind is essential for physical and mental health. We remember in our early life, at that time the only communication was telegram. Whenever telegram comes, mother will go to toilet.
Good will never come.
He says, the nervous system immediately accepts. Telegram is over. Our letter will come. Things will be conveyed. If somebody has left, something has taken place. And the first reaction will be to go to the toilet. So when we read this, we remember, so yoga, our thoughts, emotions, feelings and conditionings are very difficult to control. Yoga is a means to control all these functions of the mind, bring about one-pointedness of mind through moderation and regulation in life, equanimity and evenness in outlook, and above all, efficiency in action. This is yoga. One-pointedness of mind through moderation and regulation in life, equanimity and evenness in outlook, and above all, efficiency in action. The practice of yoga enables the mind to become perfectly steady and peaceful. The natural state of our mind is peaceful, without any distraction, disturbance, difficulty, distress. Yoga is the path to reach this natural state. That is why it is linked to this action and inaction. We now realize, this is what is meant by the word yoga. Yoga is not a thing to be merely talked about, read in books, heard through by others. Yoga is for practice in life. Yoga which does not soften the heart and fill it with a pure emotion of love, compassion and peace is not worth the name. Real concentration of mind and meditation of God in the chamber of his heart does bring about an enormous change in the devotee. His transformed life becomes a beacon light for others. Through thought, word and deed, he pours out love and bliss upon all. If not to live such a life, what use is there for a man to speak and wish to hear of yoga? To action in inaction, Papa says this is the highest yoga. While we are busily acting, we are not aware. No? Outwardly active, inwardly restful, peaceful. Suddenly, who comes in your mind? Son. Outwardly active, but always. These powers come to him in the usual course. He never works for them. If he does the fullness of joy and ecstasy, therefore the sole aim with which a devotee or a sadhaka starts on a career of yoga is only to attain perfect union with his God or complete liberation. There is no mystery about yoga. Simple union and the resultant identity with God is yoga. Our definition. Simple union and the resultant identity with God is yoga. Control of mind and senses through systematic practice suited to each individual temperament and nature constitutes the way. It cannot be a general prescription. Even the yoga teacher, a conscientious yoga teacher, will watch and suggest only that which suits to a particular person. Not that every outward practice we can do that, no. But we have not been told that it has got something to do with our inner. We use the word yoga nowadays very much. Because yoga teacher, yoga exercise, yoga day, yoga exercise every day. Morning I do some yoga practice, that's what we say. But what actually the yoga word stands for simple union and resultant identity with God. The ending everlasting joy and freedom. A life surcharged with transcendent beauty, love and rapture. In the state of the yoga, again Papa clarifies, the yogi established in absolute peace remains unaffected by the external impact of cold and heat, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor. Further, since he has attained the knowledge of the Atman by the control and subdual of the senses, he looks with equality upon a lump of earth, a stone or a gold. His attitude will be the same towards all, be they friends or foes, countrymen or foreigners, relatives or strangers, pious or wicked. Again he clarifies, if by doing the work you are filled with inspiration, then it is done wonderfully. You must be lost in it completely. Body consciousness must go. You must be in tune with the work you do. When your mind is concentrated, you are in a state of yoga. then you will produce masterpieces. Sculptors, painters, singers, poets are all like that. In that state of yoga, you are so much absorbed in the work, and that after finishing it, you yourself wonder whether the work was done by you. You cannot produce such work when the mind is restless. It is better you meditate for some time before you take up such work. When you are absorbed in the work, if anybody pats on your back, you do not know it. Very okay. When you are absorbed in the work, if anybody pats on your back, you do not know it, somebody shouts for you, but you do not hear. Hunger and thirst do not torment you because the mind is in a state of yoga. And finally, beautiful summing up this. God is eternal wisdom, infinite love, almighty power. Eternal wisdom flows through your intellect. Infinite love flows through your heart. Almighty power cuts through your body. God is eternal wisdom, infinite love, almighty power. Eternal wisdom flows through your intellect. Infinite love flows through your heart. Almighty power works through your body. This is it. When we read this and then go to Patanjali, Ashtanga, then we can go to this that. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. This is Patanjali. Yama means non-injury to others, truthfulness, non-stealing, continence, non-covetous. Niyama means purity of body and mind, contentment in all circumstances, self-discipline, self-study and contemplation, devotion to God and Guru. Asana, right posture. Pranayama, control of prana, the subtle life current in the body. Pratyahara, interiorization through withdrawal of the senses from the external objects. Dharana, focused concentration, holding the mind to one thought or object. Dhyana, meditation, absorption in the vast perception of God in one of His infinite aspects. Bliss, peace, cosmic light, cosmic sound, love, wisdom, etc. Samadhi, superconscious experience of the oneness of the individualized soul with cosmic space. Papa put that word, the great word. Everything is contained in it, but it remains unattached, untouched, unruffled, unaffected. So unaffected within and varied activities, varied types of creation. So now we understand yoga comes from that. Samadhi is the last one. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana. Of course, when you join for the yoga course, all these things are taught. But when they come out and start teaching, somehow we are not girls. Only when Papa was highlighting about it, we started going deeper into it. Then, this is what yoga means. So, our asana and pranayama are a part of it. For bodily control, yes. But for the mind control, yama, niyama, all these things are necessary. He is called a yogi. Now again on the Gita Jayanti day, we read out Papa's words, be a yogi, be a devotee, as set forth in the Bhagavad Gita. Every poem, it brings out some subtle truth in different forms. So that probably logically we have not understood through other explanation. Now we know that every moment when we are trying to connect ourselves with Him, it is yoga. Yogananda Paramahansa says, yoga is a system of scientific methods for reuniting the soul with the spirit. We have come down from God. We must reascend to Him. We have seemingly become separated from our Father. And we must consciously reunite with Him. Yoga teaches us how to rise above the delusion of separation and realize our oneness with God. The poet Milton wrote of the soul of man and how it might regain paradise. That is the purpose and goal of yoga. To regain the lost paradise of soul consciousness by which man knows that he is and ever has been one with the Spirit. Swami Shivananda Maharaj says, yoga is a perfect practical system of self-culture. Yoga is a perfect practical system of self-culture. Yoga is an exact science. It aims at the harmonious development of the body, mind and the soul. Yoga is the turning away of the senses from the objective universe and the concentration of the mind within. Yoga is eternal life in the soul of faith. Yoga aims at controlling the mind and its modification. The path of yoga is an inner path whose gateway is your heart. Path of yoga is an inner path whose gateway is your heart. Yoga is the discipline of the mind, senses and physical body. Yoga helps in the coordination and control of the subtle forces within the body. Yoga brings in perfection, peace, everlasting happiness. Yoga can help you in your business and in your daily life. You can have calmness of mind at all times by the practice of yoga. You can have restful sleep. You can have increased energy, vigor, vitality, longevity, and a high standard of health. Yoga transmutes animal nature into divine nature, raises you to the pinnacle of divine glory and splendor. The practice of yoga will help you to control the emotions and passions and will give you power to resist temptation and to remove the disturbing element from the mind. It will enable you to keep a balanced mind always and remove fatigue. It will confer on you serenity, calmness, wonderful concentration. It will enable you to hold communion with the Lord and thus attain the summum bonum of existence. Everything increases, memory, power, sharpness. Now we understand how much yoga has to do with every one of us. And those who practice it called a yogi. So from the tiniest action to the grandest one, we have to bring this yoga dimension. Losing ourselves in the perfection, that is best. Losing in perfection. This perfection, when we do that, we are not worried about what others talk. It is not to satisfy anybody, but it gives us a sort of inexplicable, pleasant feeling. So Papa wants every one of us to bring in this dimension, and he captioned the poem as action in inaction. We remember one incident here. Till 94, 95. Every day evening, prasad distribution was a big event here. Every day. Sridhar Swami used to handle it. He will get newspapers from Mangalore, Krishna, and then all cut and keep it. People used to be there from here to the arch. They will come in auto rickshaws. And it became uncontrollable. People are not accepting the prasad or something like that. From the Vyavaharic sense, it was creating a lot of disturbance. Young boy, young girl, all those things come here. Why should we not stop this? One day it became uncontrollable. If we remember right, we had to, we come here. They will stand. And then the prasad distribution goes on. So we have to really use a choir, tie it, and then give them the order, how they should come, how they should go. Just too much. Even then, big rush. He was unable to control. They still remember that. So Sridhar Swami came to Swamiji and said, please come. Swamiji stood up with his stick, umbrella, slowly walked there. He did not utter a single word. Everybody came silently. He did not utter a single word. He just stood there. When we say action and inaction. So later on, Sridhar Swami also thought, enough is enough, we will stop it. Every time, they become uncontrolled. So then we remember, when he comes and says, it will be a nice thing to observe. There is a big problem, Swamiji. What is the problem? Please come. Immediately he took that. At that time, so many items will be there. Every devotee, when he comes to know that prasad distribution is going on, they will all contribute. And enthusiastically he will organize a wedding. He himself personally will sit and give and ask somebody to share something. But the paper distribution will be done by him only. Even if it is 400 people, 500 people. But we remember that incident. And after 2 or 3 days, I think he decided. Action means inaction. The practice of yoga will help you to control the emotions and passion. Will give you the power to resist temptation. Yoga does not consist in sitting cross-legged for 6 hours or stopping the pulse or beating of the heart or getting oneself buried underneath the ground for a week or a month. Impertinence, pride, luxury, name, fame, self-assertive nature, obstinacy, idea of superiority, sensual desires, evil company, laziness, overeating, overwork, too much mixing, too much talking are some of the obstructions on the path of yoga. So we have to read it again. Unknowingly we all get into this, Pride, luxury, impertinence, name, fame, self-assertive nature, obstinacy, idea of superiority, sensual desires, evil company, laziness, overeating, overwork. Shruti is looking at too much mixing, too much talking are some of the obstacles on the path. Admit your faults freely. When you are free from all these evil traits, some of your union will come by. Practice yama and niyama. Sit comfortably in Padma or Siddhasana. Restrain the breath. Withdraw the senses. Control the thought. Concentrate. Meditate. Attain. Nirvikata. May you shine as a brilliant yogi by the practice of yoga. These are the words of Chiranjeev Maharaj. Today, through the poem, Vivekananda says, the ultimate goal of all mankind, the aim and end of all religion is but one: reunion with God. Both the goal and the methods employed for reaching it are called yoga. A word derived from the same Sanskrit root as the English yoke, meaning to join. Yoga, yoke, yogi. To join us to reality God. There are various such yogas or methods of union, but the chief one are Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Every man must develop according to his own nature. As every science has its method, so has every religion. The methods of attaining the end of religion are called yoga. And the difference of yoga, different forms of yoga that we teach are adapted to the different natures and temperaments. Ramana Maharshi is very similar. He says there is no, how can there be, why should we think about union with God? Without God you don't exist. Devotee asks, yoga means union. I wonder union of what with what? Maharshi. Exactly, yoga implies prior division and it means later union of one thing with another. You see a sense of individuality, division, and we exist because of it. That is union. But who is to be united with whom? You are the seeker, seeking union with something. If you assume this, then that something must be apart from you. But your self, capital S, is intimate to you. You are always aware of it. Seek it, be it. Then the it will expand as the infinite and there will be no question of yoga. Who sees the separation? Yoga. Maharshi. Find out to whom is this yoga. That is yoga. To whom I feel separated, I am separated from God. So you see, Bhagavan asks you find out who is that. Find out to whom is the yoga. Yoga means separation. That is yoga. Finding out, the method. Yoga is common to all paths. Yoga is really nothing but ceasing to think that you are different from the self or the I. They are all aimed at getting people out of the long-cherished notion that they are different from the self. There is no question of union or yoga in the sense of going and joining something that is somewhere away from us or different from us. Because you never were and could be separate from yourself. Even now, at this moment. We were never were or we were separate. That is why in one of the parables, Shivanji says, the father and his little son are sitting in a dark room. The son asks, Father, I am afraid of the darkness, how can we remove it? Light the candle, son. The boy lights the candle. And now the darkness is gone. This is my father. Yes, son. The son blows out the candle. Oh, it is again dark, father. I am afraid. Light the candle again. Now the darkness is gone. This way he lights and blows off the candle several times. Then father tells him, son, so long as there is darkness, you should keep the candle burning. If you blow it off, darkness will envelop you once again. When the sun rises, you need candle no more. Then you get light throughout the day from this supreme light of the universe. Similarly, the disciple approaches the Guru for instruction on yoga, receives the Diksha. The disciple practices sadhana for a little while, gets a little spiritual progress, satisfied that he has attained the supreme and conquered Maya, he stops the sadhana. Blowing out the candle. Again darkness comes. Darkness envelops him again. This goes on. Yoga comes and goes, till he learns to be steadfast in his sadhana. Thus he keeps the darkness of Maya away, till the sun of Atma rises in him. With the rise of the sun of supreme wisdom, the darkness of ignorance vanishes forever, and he basks in the sunshine of Sagat Paramahansa. So, through a poem, a poet touches and kindles and makes us aware of 2 3 things. That what is yoga? And why should I practice yoga? A question involved in family life, professional life, social life. Yes, now we understand. Yoga is needed to excel in everything. And at the same time, free from all tensions and worries. So he says there, that will enable us to graduate to a state where we are acting, but at the same time, there is no ripples. Internally, we are calm, serene, and quiet. Outwardly, we are active. So yoga, that is where Papa says, then is the highest yoga. Stillness and action equalize. Stillness itself is inertia. Action itself is a discord. When both coexist, together revealed, then ring symphony eternally, mingling rapture of delight through ethereal peace. That is the highest yoga. Action in inaction. Every time when Mahatma says something, we cannot just hear it and leave it. It should come back to us often. And relate ourselves with our actions. Otherwise it becomes academic, We should try to connect it up with what He has made us to observe. He has made us to act. That is why in the famous quotation he says, the world we live in is a school in which observation and experience offer us immense possibilities for self-improvement. Nay, the word itself is Guru or Brahma. Observation and experience. So whatever he gives through his teaching, his writing, we try to relate it with our own life, our own observation. Our own observation and our own experience. What he said, without action we will not know our defects. Inside the room, if I sit for 1 week, I will not know. But when I interact with the world and the objects and men and matter, my true color comes out. I don't know that. And then, I shouldn't have told like that. I shouldn't have thought like that. I shouldn't have acted like that. How will I know? So he said, action is discord, stillness is inertia, nothing, no action. But when it is joined together, that is the highest. So that we all pray to him. You have given us so many such salient points. Kindly remind us at every moment of our life. So far we have been thinking yoga is to attend yoga session, yoga classes. Whatever the yoga teacher says, we do that. Mainly physical exercise. But you have now come, you have made us to have become aware that yoga is union with the core of our being. For that, the physical exercise is also needed. But not the only one. We also need so many other things along with that. What is the most important thing? Action in inaction. Hello. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri 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 Ram, Jai Ram, Jai